Okay, the topic of this presentation is Prosecuting Deviationists for Activities in Cyberspace, Maqasid Al Syariah approach. This article investigates the prospects of using Maqasid Al Syariah to shape the way of handling cases relating to the dissemination of deviant teachings in cyberspace. As a general guide, the contents of this presentation are as follows. Firstly, there will be introduction. Secondly, meaning of Maqasid Al Syariah. Thirdly, problem statement, objectives, methodology. Fourthly, findings. Fifthly, discussion. And lastly, conclusion. Now let us see what are the meaning of deviant teachings. Deviant teachings are teachings which are not in accordance with Islam, because they are not based on the Al-Quran and the Hadith, and they are not in harmony with the practices of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The dissemination of deviant teachings through cyberspace has caused concern to the Islamic authorities in Malaysia because it creates conflicts and distrust among members of the public. In such a situation, the public must be protected from deviant teachers. In Malaysia, dissemination of deviant teachings is a Sharia criminal offence, which is stated in various state enactments. In achieving the Maqasid Al Syariah, it is important to protect the public from the threat and effects of deviant teachings. Maqasid Al Syariah, or known as goals or objective of the Sharia, is an Islamic legal doctrine aimed to preserve the 5 essentials of human being. The 5 essentials of human beings are religion, life, intellect, lineage, and property. The problem statement of this study is as follows. The way of handling criminal offences such as deviant teachings are stated in the Sharia Criminal Procedure Enactment. Under the said enactment, there are guidelines or procedures relating to the investigation until the trial of the action. However, there is little evidence that shows application of the principles of Maqasid and Sharia in the Sharia Criminal Procedure Enactment. The objectives of the study. The main objective of this study is to analyze the potential of Maqasid Al Syariah in shaping the way of dealing with cases, deviant teaching cases via cyberspace. The specific objectives are firstly to identify the challenges that arise in handling cases relating to deviant teachings in cyberspace. And secondly, to analyze how Maqasid Sharia can shape the way of handling these cases justifiably. The research methodology is based on document analysis of library-based materials. It involves the analysis of text, both from printed and electronic sources. The doctrinal study, mostly used in legal studies, including Sharia, employs study of crucial data which are retrieved from the Holy Quran, relevant acts and enactments. Secondary data were obtained from journal articles, proceedings papers, newspapers, reports, and other relevant materials, which are stated in the full manuscript. Basically, the finding shows that there are various challenges faced by the prosecution and the judges in trials revolving deviant cases, which are disseminated in cyberspace. Okay, it is also found that Maqasid Sharia is a potential tool in shaping the way of handling these cases. Let us see what are some of the challenges faced in prosecuting these offenders. Normally, it will start off with at the investigation case. So this is stated in brief. Okay, a complainant who finds offensive contents on social media relating to dissemination of false doctrine may lodge a complaint to the police and also the religious enforcement officer. However, it can be a situation where the complainant might not be able to identify the doer of the offense. The religious enforcement officer is given the powers under the Sharia Criminal Procedure or Enactment to conduct a search for documents or things in any place. However, the investigation process that involves digital forensic evidence can be deemed complicated for an inexperienced religious enforcement officer who has little knowledge in digital forensic. An REO or religious enforcement officer is most likely not familiar with the forensic process of identification of possible evidence, and would require a technical person who is familiar with these matters. This will also affect his collection of evidence and evaluation of evidence, and finally the making of a report. At the trial, the judge may also face a situation where he is not empowered or authorized to hear a case when it can be argued by the accused or his Shari counsel that the alleged offences is committed wholly or partly not within the local jurisdiction of such judge. So this is specifically stated in the various Sharia criminal procedure enactment. For example, in Selangor, one may refer to Section 7 of the Sharia Criminal Procedure, State of Selangor Enactment 2003. Okay, based on the challenges and also the values of Maqasid Al Syariah, it is pertinent to note that Maqasid Al Syariah is a potential tool to enhance the efficacy of disposal of deviant teachings cases that are disseminated in cyberspace. Okay, as we have discussed just now, all offences will be dealt with according to the criminal procedure enactment, and the prosecution must follow the criminal enactment in prosecuting the accused. There are ways which can be adopted to deal with such cases at the trial stage, okay, which are in accordance with Maqasid Al Syariah. Okay, this page will show the instances. For example, the judge shall, in passing a sentence, if the court finds the accused guilty or if a guilty plea has been on record and accepted, may advise the accused to repent. Okay. The prosecution should also ensure that the information detailed in the charge sheet should meet all requirements under the procedural law so that the accused will be charged in a justifiable way. The judge may also make clarification by putting questions and provide an opportunity to the accused to defend himself. In addition to what I have mentioned just now, both the prosecution and judges must also be familiar with the laws on the admissibility of electronic records and the definition of computer, okay, which is stated in the various Sharia criminal and evidence enactment. Both the prosecution and judges must also endeavor to acquire knowledge about computer forensics, since digital devices are involved, such as USB, hard disks, and tablets. Judges must also be aware of issues on jurisdictions, since the dissemination of such information can be done outside of jurisdiction. Okay, apart from that, judges must also be aware of the issues regarding confidentiality. Okay, by applying Maqasid Al Syariah principles, an informant who is aware that a person is suspected or intended of committing the offence should only provide information to the religious enforcement officer if he believes that the said offence has been committed, and this should not be done based on his whims and fancy. This is in line with the following Quranic verses, and one of the Quranic verses is stated in Al-Fusilat 34-36, and if at any time an incitement to discord is made to you by the evil one, seek refuge in Allah. He is the one who hears and knows all things. Okay, the Holy Quran also prohibits the eating up of another person's property in an unjust manner and giving bribes. Okay, this is mentioned in Al-Baqarah 188. As such, any acts of disseminating information, photos and video posted on social media which are proven in court as not an offense should not be removed wantonly. By applying Maqasid Al Syariah principles also, the prosecution should not practice a careless attitude in particularizing the charge, okay, regarding the place, time and person suspected of committing offense. Okay, in this regard also, the prosecution, witnesses and accused must provide accurate information and not mislead the court. In conclusion, there are many challenges faced by authorities in curbing the dissemination of deviant teachings in cyberspace, such as jurisdictional problems and inexperienced religious enforcement officers in dealing with the digital forensic. However, by adopting appropriate ways or values which are based on Maqasid Al Syariah, prosecution and judges may enhance the way of dealing with these cases. Thank you very much for hearing.